Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to the Thunderhead Show. I'm here with Count Williams from the awesome bands Witchcross and Ravensthorn. What's up, Count?
It's great to be on here. Hails and infernal blessings to everyone who's listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Can you give us an update on the bands and, just give us a quick history of the members? And
it's great to be on here. Yeah, Witchcross has been going for a long time, but I'm going to start off with more current events right now before I get back into any history right now. But right now we've been going like all year long, playing out every month, heading all over the place. We just did the Glass Tap, our Halloween October 31st show about a week ago, and it went fantastic. It was a good, nice turnout. Everything went great. We did like about 4 sets. It was just like an amazing night. That place always has us do like a really long concert.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our shows we only play for like an hour, and we do most of our originals. And this thing we do like an hour-long set, and then we come back on like every 15 minutes for another hour-long set. Usually we only do 3, but we did like 4 sets that night.
Oh, so you did like 4 hours?
Sabbath and everything. It went really good.
That's cool. Now, do you guys do a lot of covers, or?
Well, we just, when we're not doing our originals, we do a lot of old Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
We've always done that throughout our career. In Ravensthorn, we didn't do any covers, just all originals. But in Witchcross, we do all our own songs. We have like about 20 originals or 30, and then we do like about 30 or 40 Black Sabbath songs, but we don't play all of them. But we sometimes, it's a crazy night, though, going through all the different stuff. But anyways, the Crypt of the Undead album has been doing pretty well. It's been out for like a little over probably about 6 or 7 months, and it's going really good. But we're already making plans for a follow-up album next year. I don't know if it's going to be out next year, but we're going to be in the studio recording it next year.
Awesome. Now,
and, one more thing I just want to cut in real quick is that people who are wondering about what's going on with Ravensthorn, we've been playing for several months now with a fill-in drummer, this guy Nick, and it's been the original guitarist Greg Vertine and Jeff Taylor on bass and myself on vocals. But tonight, we're actually getting together tonight, and we might have our new real drummer coming in. It's a guy who's trying out. I don't want to announce it yet because we got to see how he turns out, but things have been going good with our fill-in drummer. But he knew all along, this guy Nick, that he was just like kind of helping us so we could record the new songs and stuff, and he's been really good with that. And but he knew that eventually we would try and find a permanent replacement, and we might have him. We found a new guy tonight who's fantastic, so we're going to see how that works out, and hopefully if that works out, we're trying to get things going so we can record a new album next year with Ravensthorn too.
Well, that's cool, but at least you had a backup there for you, you know what I mean, so it didn't put you guys on hold.
It really helped because for a while we were just having meetings, and we knew we wanted to get back together, but you can't do anything without a drummer, so we got this guy that was from Greg's solo band that they've been practicing for a while together, and he wanted to just help us so we could fill in and start recording like demos of the new songs.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have something to play the new drummer if we finally got somebody. And this guy seems like he's really has a good potential to be the new guy, so I'm really excited. I'm going there later tonight. So
well, that's cool. I hope it works out well for you. Hopefully he's spot on.
It's been tough because our first drummer, Tony, was fantastic. He's almost irreplaceable, and it's like he's moved on to other projects and stuff, and we wish him well and all. But it was tough to find someone that would fit in that well. But we just had to keep pushing on and try and do it. But now we think we might have the right guy. So.
Well, that's cool. Back to the bands and the members. Can you let us all know who everyone is and?
Okay, with Witchcross, it's Derek Anderson, lead guitar, Roger Massey, bass, and Gary Pedersoli, drums. We've been together the same lineup since 1992 till now. And with Ravensthorn, it's Greg Vertine, lead guitar, Jeff Taylor, bass. And right now, I'm not sure who's going to be the new drummer, but then it's me, vocals. But it's been, Ravensthorn has been like many different lineups, but that was those guys are like the closest to the original lineup that I've had. The original drummer was Tony Barr, and then we've had a few other people coming and going, and all kinds of guitar players. It's almost been like a revolving door. But I'm glad to have Greg and Jeff back, because they were the ones that were, you know, way back to the beginning. So it's kind of like the beginning again. So, but in the meantime, it's been between doing all that, I've been still mostly serious with Witchcross, getting out there, playing out every month. We've been doing shows like almost, you know, every month of the year throughout the, you know, trying to go all over, you know.
That's awesome. And
far-reaching areas of, not too far from the local, but still, you know, all over the place.
You've been sending out further.
Yeah, you know, a few hours or so. We'd like to go on a longer tour or something, but it's, you know, if the money or the backing was there, we'd be out and doing a lot more.
Yeah.
We've got offers to go back to New York again and stuff, because I did a few things out there with Ravensthorn a while back, and I got buddies and bands out there, and they want us to come back, so that might be a plan. But,
well, that's cool. You'll have to let us know so we can, you know, come out and see you guys. That would be cool.
Oh, that's great. I keep forgetting that's where you guys are at.
Yeah, we're in upstate New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you had chosen a special track you wanted everyone to hear. It's Restless Spirits. Stay tuned in.
Thank you.
Staring unholy presence in the woodlands inside. Dying visions in the wreckage of the bone of the silent shore, where many unaware took the refuge from the storm, led blinded by the flames of a deceiving fire of the shore. Lepers in their colony cut to pieces in the sea's rocky mire. Restless spirits of the old lighthouse. Restless spirits of the old lighthouse. Old lighthouse would lead them to a safe and gentle port, where many come ashore, take the refuge from the storm. But the way the light reflected through the fog and off the waves sent many sailors adrift and into their watery graves. Restless spirits of the old lighthouse. Restless spirits of the old lighthouse. Now legend has it that all who follow this curse will be found mutilated, the souls forever to wander these shores. Lady of the lake is returned to take a child in her arms. Now many turn away to escape from harm. Restless spirits of the old lighthouse. Restless spirits of the old lighthouse.
was just Restless Spirits. I hope you guys all cranked it up. That was an awesome track. Can you give us, a little...
Witch Cross, Crypt of the Undead. The brand, actually, the newest album, it's been out for about 6 months. If you're interested in getting that, you could either go to our official site, witchcross.com, or you could go to eBay and look up the seller, Count Bloodwin, COUNTBLOODYN. Count Bloodwin is the seller. That's my eBay selling page, and it's kind of cool. It has like some photos of of me on there and some other stuff with the groups, and it's got there's still Ravensthorn CD up there and a whole bunch of Witchcross CDs up there. So, and they're all at a good price too. I'm also thinking about having a little sale soon, just to bring it down a little bit, because I just think it'd be cool, because there's a lot more sellers out there now. I've noticed worldwide, because with the Metalizer and Battle Cry label from Germany that put out the Witchcross Crypt of the Undead CD, they've done a really good job with distribution. So there's a lot of other sellers worldwide out there.
Right.
So I kind of want to give people a little more of an advantage by coming to my site. Maybe I can make a little discount or something.
Or bundle it up somehow for the holidays or something.
Yeah, something like that would be really cool.
That's cool.
Right now, we're just in Witchcross. We're just coming to a point now where we've been doing shows all year, and now we kind of want to take a small break from shows till maybe like January or something, and just, in the meantime, get back down to writing new songs, because we got a lot of new stuff that we want to get down. For the next album is going to be, I think, slightly heavier on the next album, because this last album had some really heavy stuff, but it also had like kind of a theme story going through it.
Right.
About like the vampire thing in the graveyard, and it was like almost like a concept album. If you do like go through and read all the lyrics through the whole thing, it's kind of like an old Hammer horror story. But so there was a lot of melodic interplay where like parts would get mellow. There was a couple like ballad-esque kind of songs on there. There was 13 tracks, so we didn't want to just be bludgeoning through the whole thing. We kind of wanted to take it down into the light and shade, and ease you into the story, and kind of have some melodic, emotional stuff, and then go really heavy.
Right.
But I think on the next album, it's going to be slightly more just like heavy all the way through, kind of, because we got some really dark themes, and it's still going to be very horror-oriented, with a lot of occult overtones and, about demons and everything. But the new album is going to be a lot heavier. We're going to get back, and hopefully sometime in the spring we're going to be back in the studio. That's what I'm shooting for, because I don't want to waste any more time.
No, you want to get it in there and get it done, and have everybody...
Yeah, it goes by quick. It's like 1 minute you put out an album and it's new, and, before you even know it, it's like a year later, and it's like, man, if you don't get in there and start recording right away, it takes a long time. Once you do record it, then you have to wait for the mastering. That's actually the longest thing, is sometimes when the mix down, it just seems like it takes forever, because you want to get it right, and then people are like disagreeing, and some people like it this way and that way, and then the people mixing it, they take a while. Sometimes you never know, but it's all worth it in the end, because it's turning out really good.
So then everyone will at least have something to look forward to, that, hearing that it's coming out sooner than later.
Oh, yeah. It's the hardest part is, without a big sponsor or nothing. We've never had like a big major label. We've always been going through like these German labels, and, it pretty much, they kind of just count on us to finance our own thing, and then later they help us by giving us CDs and stuff, like a big amount of CDs,
right,
which is very nice of them, and I very much appreciate it. To Sash, Machine Menschel, Bernard Kreitmeyer, and Andy Priesig out there from Metalizer and Battle Cry, I just have to say thank you very much again, because it's tough on them too. They put out a lot of money to duplicate and everything, and they do a lot of the graphic work and everything. But it cost us a lot to record it too. That's a fortune, and so we try to get in there and just do it. Like, we usually record an album like maybe in like 2 days or something, and then we just have that, and then it takes maybe a couple months for the people to mix it down sometimes, because they take everything that we put down, and then they sit there and go through it and fine tune it, and email us song copies to check out. And once we all agree on everything, it usually just goes, he gives us a master copy and we just send it off to the label. But we're shooting on probably using Metalizer and Battle Cry for our next releases again, too. So
that's cool. At least, you can count on them to be there for you and help you out.
I hope so. No, it's just, you never know, because people, things change really quick. That's another reason why I want to hurry and get the next album out, because, 1 minute a label might, these underground labels, 1 minute they might be doing great, and the next minute they might
could
just
be down.
decide to call it a day or something.
Yep, that's true.
You never know when. You might as well do it as fast as you can.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get to your next track here. Here's Gates of Hell. And which band is this from?
This is from Ravensthorn's House of the Damned album. This is actually one of the songs that we're using to audition our new, possible new drummer tonight. So, because this one goes through a lot of time changes. It starts off real doomy, kind of like a Sabbath tune, with some Ozzy-esque kind of influenced vocals, and then in the middle it busts into almost like a Slayer, death metal speed thing going on. So
awesome. Let's check it out.
All the different speeds of the band and the styles.
Here's Gates of Hell. Crank it up.
Shadows of
was Gates of Hell. I'm here with Count William. That was an awesome track. Who wrote the lyrics for that track?
Oh, I wrote the words I write all the words to almost both, the lyrics for both bands, but in Ravensthorn, the music during that era was almost all composed by Greg Verthine, our lead guitar player, who's still back in the band again now. He was in the band during the House of the Damned and the Hauntings and Possessions era. That was in, it started in the beginning of around 2001 and 2002, and then that's around that time we released the original version of House of the Damned. As you all know, that was re-released as a remixed version of that album last Christmas. So that's why that's kind of made a comeback. And the thing is that's cool about that being re-released is that's what brought my original guitarist back to the band, and my old bassist Jeff Taylor too. So that was a blessing in disguise with that thing. And it also opened the doorway for Witchcross to put the Crypt of the Undead album out.
Right. And
so that was really cool. I have to thank Metalizer and Battle Cry again, because that's hopefully what we're going to be using to put out the next Witchcross and Ravensthorn albums next year.
That's awesome.
So, anyways, like a lot of people don't know, but to go back into history a little bit, Witchcross started out of the tail end of the early 1990s. It was out of the tail end of the 80s, I was going to say, with Nocturnal Doom was my first band. And then with Derek Anderson was the lead guitar player. And then when that band kind of made our mark as Nocturnal Doom with Shades of Despair, our 1991 album, we kind of came to a point where we wanted to get more serious, and we put drummer Gary Pedersoli in the band and Roger Massey on bass. And Derek Anderson and me stayed together, and then we moved on and we did our first self-titled Witchcross album in 1993. And then we kept on going throughout the years, and we finally put out a couple more releases. But like at that point, things kind of had slowed down in the mid-90s going into 2000. So I had been doing another project too with a band called Shadow Lord, but that's another whole story we don't even have time to get into probably.
Yeah, I think
we had a couple releases too that are out there floating around if you're looking for it.
That's cool. Who are some of
the next thing you know, we kind of moved into, doing the Ravensthorn albums and then later Witchcross kind of became back to the forefront, right before the Crypt of the Undead album.
And who are some of the major influences for both bands? I know there's a concept there.
The original, like when I was very young, I started off as a major Kiss fan, like around 8 years old, and then I had an older uncle that was like a big record collector, and he lived at my grandma's house, and every time I went over there, he had like a whole room. It was like a freaking DJ's office. I mean, he had like thousands of records, and like a lot of times he wouldn't be home, and I would go up there and just go through stuff, and I'd find like Deep Purple, like Live in Japan and stuff, and just put it on his turntable and start listening to it. And I was like getting addicted to Ozzy and everything, going through his collection. And one time, this is a funny story. I was going through his records one day, and I was really little still, and I opened up his Aerosmith double live album, and all the weed spilled out all over the floor.
Oh, no.
Oh, he wanted to kill me later. Because he didn't know I was up there sneaking around. But no, nowadays he's very cool about it. He's like, I'm glad that I kind of helped you get influenced into that. But then later I became a huge Coven fan and a Black Sabbath fanatic, and I can't even name all the bands I like throughout my life. I've been a thrash metal fan and the Slayer and old Metallica, and King Diamond's a huge influence, Merciful Fate. And Surithungal, that's a band that not many people have heard of. They're a huge influence because they had some really doomy albums like One Foot in Hell and King of the Dead and stuff. But I'm a death metal fan, but all over the place. I'd say mostly my biggest influences come from that early 70s kind of like semi-occult, semi-psychedelic kind of doomy stuff is my favorite.
That's cool. All right, we're going to check out your next track here. It's Where Shadows Dwell. Stay tuned in.
Thank you. That's Ravensthorn.
Hey, what's up? That was Where Shadows Dwell. I'm here with Count William from Witchcross and Ravensthorn. Tell us about that.
From our House of the Damned album from Ravensthorn, by the way. Great to be on your show. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for being here. We're glad to have you back.
All right. It's wonderful to be on here. I was telling you before, between the new plans for Witchcross and Ravensthorn, we're both writing new stuff for new albums that we're going to be both in the studio recording next year. And so it's looking really exciting for, more new music. Because for a while, even our most recent Crypt of the Undead Witchcross album, and I know a lot of artists go through this, but a lot of times you go in the studio and you record, a whole new album, but then sometimes you bring up a lot of older material sometimes too that might never have made it to a real album. Mm-hmm. And we had like 3/4 of the album was all new, but then we had like a couple songs from early demos that hardly anybody has. So we kind of went through and redid those on the new album, like about 3 songs. So that's why if you look into our past and you've seen some of our early demo-ish albums that were out that nobody has, like Innocence and Evil or even the self-titled Witchcross, you might see one song on there, that you might notice is on the new album, because it seems like nobody has those releases. And I liked them a lot at the time, but I didn't really feel like putting a lot of time and effort into repackaging those old albums, because the production-wise was really raw. It fit for the time,
Right.
Now that we got the new album out, it's like the production is like head and shoulders above that stuff. It was still cool at the time, that old stuff, but I'd rather focus my time and effort and money and studio time into going back and doing another new album. And our new one's going to be almost all completely new, right off the, current ideas that we're working on now. We're not going to rehash anything, really.
So that's cool. You get like I said before, something to look forward to for all the fans out there, because I know once someone purchases Witchcross, then they're going to have to purchase Ravensthorn.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
They're slightly different. Like you said, though, they're, if you like one, you'll probably like the other. It's a similar kind of music, but like at the same time, Ravensthorn probably branches a little more into more thrash metal, and it still has the doomy influence, but Witchcross is more straightforward doom. But we're starting to kind of move into more thrashier direction in our new stuff too. We got one song that we're working on called Manifestation from Beyond the Grave.
Awesome.
And that one's really freaking crazy. It's like it kind of has like a thrash feel to it. So, and I got a couple different ones that we're working on, like Cathedral of Blood and stuff like that kind of are more upbeat, kind of slightly thrash, but they still have that Ozzy-ish vocal feel and kind of like a Judas Priest bass to it that kind of mixes all together. And the new Ravensthorn stuff, we got like a whole bunch of new material written too, like Black Consecration and stuff like that. It's got a lot of doom in it too, which is cool, because my guitar player of Ravensthorn, Greg Vertine, in the earlier days, he was more writing a lot more technical-ish, like Yngwie-ish kind of riffs on some stuff, but now he's putting a lot more doomy stuff in there too, but we're still breaking it up. There's a spot in one of the new Ravensthorn songs that really just busts into full-thrown speed metal, so that's cool too. I just like mixing it all up instead of being stuck in one category of metal,
Right. My next question I want to know is it tough to be a vocalist for both bands, or do you find it to be...
Not really. So the thing is that a lot of people wonder how I have the time to do it all, but like, number one, not being on a major tour gives me more time to do this. I'd like to do a tour, and I'm hoping, between the two bands, in the next year or so, once we get another album out, maybe we could do it like a little, some kind of a little tour, either with one band or the other, or both.
That would be cool to have both.
Meantime, you know what it is like a lot of times I fit it in because, like, say if we're doing a bunch of practices and a couple shows with Witchcross, there might be, I schedule time to still make it to practice at least once a week with either or the band. So, like, and then I put, like, there's certain weeks where Witchcross might take a break for a week or two, then I'll put more time into, we'll do extra stuff with Ravensthorn during that time. But in the meantime, I try to do a little of both at all times.
Now, do you play 2 different characters with each band?
No, I'm basically the same. I don't try, it's like, I used to be a little slightly more different with both bands. I kind of was more like the Count, which is it's basically just an extension of my natural self, just getting a little darker.
Right.
But I used to not be so theatrical in Witchcross in the early days. But once I, became kind of more famous for that with Ravensthorn, I started doing it more with Witchcross too. And, there's not a lot of difference, but the music is kind of what breaks up the difference between both bands. I kind of, my vocals and my lyrics are not too much different in both bands, except for in Ravensthorn, every once in a while I'll throw in like an occasional death metal part where I go death vocals or something, but I still sing almost all in like that Ozzy Priest type of vocal most of the time. But every once in a while in Ravensthorn, I'll do some death vocals occasionally, or do a lot more really high stuff. And then in Witchcross, I'm more just like straight, kind of more like Ozzy, but like with a little bit of Judas Priest thrown in. It's kind of hard to explain. Most people who listen to it will know what I'm talking about.
That's for sure. Now, when you guys are out playing, do you guys, when you bring it out on stage, what do you have to show everyone?
We basically, mostly I'm the only one who's in makeup or anything or in any kind of theatrical clothing, mostly on stage, but in both bands. But, we usually dress the stage up with all kinds of, theatrical different things with like skeletons and all kinds of, whatever little bits of, I usually use candelabras stage with real candles and everything, which can be kind of dangerous if you're running around like a nutcase one night like I was doing. And this is hilarious. I like to sometimes bring up a little comic relief, but this was one night I was running around. It's all serious, scary. Everything's all fog, and the crowd's going, acting crazy. Everything's all awesome. And then when you do one of those crazy maneuvers, like you go flying across and your cape like snags, and then the candelabra just goes flying off into the crowd, and they fucking jump out of the way and like, holy shit, man, it's crazy.
And they think it was supposed to be that way.
Like that, but that was one night that happened, and I just tried to, you can either get mad about it or just laugh. It's funny. Because I got this roadie guy who's like in this crazy-looking Nazi outfit, and he comes up there and he's like, got the candelabra thing fixed, and he's up there lighting the candles with his freaking German World War II helmet thing on. I'm like, I don't know where he came up with this outfit, but it had nothing to do with our stage show, but he like just wears this when he comes. And it's like, I don't want people to think we're like got some political agenda.
Right.
Funny, but I didn't want to tell him not to wear it, but it's kind of funny.
That is funny. All right, well, we're going to check out your next track here. It's Curse of the Werewolf. Stay tuned in.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up? That was Curse of the Werewolf. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's originally, the idea was inspired by the Hammer Curse of the Werewolf song, but actually the story in the song doesn't necessarily follow the Hammer version. It's kind of, that's basically where I got the influence to write the song, but actually I took it into the context of its own original story. But the original riffs came back from, we had an idea back in the earlier days of Witchcross, and we began jamming on it. I think we even performed like a really different version of it in the early days, but then we kind of scrapped the song. And then years later, we were talking about resurrecting like a new version of it, because it never really made it to any demos or anything. It was just like a song that was like a rare treasure that was on some old tape that we did, and we kind of forgot about it. We quit playing it, and then all of a sudden we were getting the new album ideas together before we did Crypt of the Undead, which just came out this last March. And this was last summer. We were in the studio, the summer before last. We were in the studio recording Crypt of the Undead, and then we decided to just run through, like a few weeks before we went in the studio, we ran through it, and we played it several times and added a few ideas, and then it just turned into, actually, to me, it's what became one of the heaviest tracks that we've ever done. So that's a kind of a thrashy song. It starts off really doomy, and then it goes into full-blown headbanging, kind of almost like a slower doom speed metal kind of thing.
Yeah, and I like
then it breaks into like a Sabbathy chorus kind of.
And your vocals in that are excellent too.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
The weird thing is the original one, when I first used to sing that, you know, when we first came up with the idea, I never had a harmony vocal during the main vocal line. But then later when we were in the studio, when Chad Elliott and Joe Doer were producing, they were like, you know, they said, why don't you do a version, you know, just do a version with your main vocal line, and then later they said, why don't we try it out just to see what would happen, and then it came together such a beautiful harmony. I've never been a guy that does a lot of harmonies, or sometimes I try to. Sometimes when I've tried to, they didn't sound right, so I left them out. And plus, a lot of times you can't replicate it on stage.
No.
But that just sounds so natural together, because then later when you go on stage, you could do the high. I usually do the high one when I'm out live performing Curse of the Werewolf, and then when I come to the chorus, I just go to the main vocal line. Rather, you know, it turns out pretty good. So
now,
we play that song at every show too. That's usually like second or third in the lineup. We usually run through almost all the whole album, except for sometimes we've left Mistress of Darkness off the live set, but we've been bringing that one back lately.
What kind of reaction do you get from the crowd when you guys are playing out?
Oh, we get a good crowd. It's different at every place. You know, it's like the Halloween show was really nice. It was a very cool crowd. Even though it was a lot of people I've never, you know, a lot of people who came are people I don't know so well, but I'm thankful for a big crowd, whether it's people I know or it's people I don't know. It's always cool. We did a show about a month or two ago. It was at this place, Big Shots, out in South Haven, Indiana. That went really well too. But you know, that's also I heard that was where Cannibal Corpse did their last show. That place was pretty cool. The only thing that sucked is that the night we played there, they decided to make it an all ages show at the last minute, and then they closed all the bars and everything. You know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, then there's less people in there, and if they can't drink, they have to go over to this Pepe's restaurant that's like across the parking lot. So then you know, you're struggling to keep people in the venue to see you play.
Right.
It's crazy the way they do that these days.
Yeah, I know. And all the pay to play too.
This is kind of stupid, but when they, you know how they had that anti-smoking thing at a lot of the venues and a lot of the bars, then it's like it doesn't matter who's on stage. There's like the whole crowd's outside smoking. You know?
Right, and you want to bring the show outside.
It makes such a big difference, but you know, there's, you know, at concerts when people are drinking, a lot of people like to smoke when they're there, and so then you got everybody outside, you know, and it really ruins the experience a lot of times, because if they could just do what they want in the bar, and keep them inside, then everybody will be watching the band, even though it doesn't matter. Sometimes if the band could be the greatest band, but, if people all have to smoke outside, everybody will be standing out at some canopy out in the rain or something.
Standing out on their heaters outside. And you kind of want to bring the show outside.
Especially when these places are starting to cater to people outside now, because they realize that that a lot of people have to go outside. So then they put up like some kind of outdoor beer tent type of thing out behind the bar.
Right.
And then sometimes, like at the one place we were at with the Metal Anthem Fest, they even had a separate stage out there with people playing out there.
Oh, wow.
And then they had a bartender out there and everything. So it's like, who's going to want to come inside?
I know. You're probably like saying, really? Now, when you guys are playing out, do you think you sound the same as you're playing on your recordings?
Yeah, I think we're pretty raw in the studio anyway. We usually put maybe like one or two rhythm overdubs, but we usually perform almost completely live in the studio, and then we'll have like I'll come back, or my guitar player will come back, and he'll do like a second rhythm track, and then he'll go through. A lot of times he'll do his live solo on the first track, or sometime, and then later he'll do two rhythms, and and then if he doesn't like any of his original solos, he can just cut them in or something. But I usually go back and I'll do a couple vocals, and then I'll pick, between all three of them which ones were the best, and kind of, cut and paste whichever, fits together. But originally when we first go in there, I'm usually in my own booth, and then the guitarist and the drummer and the bassist are in a separate room. Right. And we can all see each other through glass. And I'm kind of in the dark in my own world, but, I don't care anyway, because I'm kind of, I just listen to what's going on. Everybody's got like an intercom and stuff. And then we just play live. We just keep on going. We record almost all the songs, in 2 or 3 takes at the most. Usually some songs have gone down, and there has been like some songs that we took the first take, but usually it's about 2 takes. Yeah. And sometimes if it's real bad, it'll be 3, but we don't ever usually have that many problems.
Well, that's cool.
And then we take like the basic raw tracks, and we just go back and, kind of overdub or do whatever we need to, and take out whatever we don't like. And it all starts from a live recording, so.
That's cool.
Some bands will go in and I don't even know how some bands do this either. I've heard that when King Diamond, when his drummer, when he had Mickey D still in the early days, that the guy played like songs completely by himself without any people playing, and just did the drumming, and then later added the guitar. I don't know how anybody could do that.
Wow, yeah, I've heard of several people that do that. I don't know
how anyone can do that. I mean, they gotta be incredible, you got
to have it all memorized and then put it all together. I don't know. All right.
The Damned, actually, the weird thing about that album with Greg, when we went in there, we recorded that live. We had everybody in separate rooms, but he had this weird setup where he had like 2 stereo Marshalls that were like both like half stacks or something, and he had them in separate rooms, and he had like some kind of stereo splitter.
Oh, wow.
So that they're both in separate rooms, both amps, and like he did like one guitar rhythm track that went through the whole album, but it was in 2 separate cabinets, which we've never done this before. Usually almost every album we have with either band has at least 2 rhythm guitars on it. But that was the only album we ever had 1 rhythm.
Oh, wow.
When he did the solo, he still had rhythm under the solo, so it sounded like there was 2 guitars. But,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was weird. It has a pretty sharp sound, though, for doing that. But
oh, wow. All right.
We did that one with this guy from Pumpkin Studios, Gary Loizo. Not a lot of people know that he was the original engineer for Styx and REO and stuff. But my old drummer from Ravensthorn, he used to know that guy pretty good, so that was where we did our first 2 albums of Ravensthorn with him. But
that's cool. Probably was awesome.
Too, because you walk in there, and I'm not a huge Styx fan or nothing, but I still have respect for their career. They were a good band. And, but anyway, you walk in there, and it's cool to be in a place with a renowned guy, and he was also the lead vocalist of that group from the 60s, the American Breed, that did Bend Me, Shape Me.
Mm-hmm.
He was the original lead vocalist for that before he became an engineer, that guy, Gary Loizo.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it is weird. I'm a huge 60s rock fan, so it's weird, you know, when you go in there and, you know, it was kind of cool, you know, to talk with him about it, but he doesn't really talk too much about it, but, you know, because I think he's kind of embarrassed or something, but he likes it. But
he's embarrassed.
I don't know. I mean, he's like, because he's so famous now for his engineering and stuff, you know, but, you know, because in those pictures that he had from back then, it was almost like he was one of those teen idols, you know, that's like always smiling and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was great, though. He had some good harmony ideas when I was in the studio. He's a tough coach, too, because, you know, he comes from that school where, you know, back in those days with, like, the Beach Boy harmony type things. And, and I think we were one of the heaviest bands that came in there to record with him because, you know, it looked really alien to him. But he dialed us our sound in like nothing. It was like no problem at all. But when I was doing my vocals, he would really, you know, on the first 2 Ravensthorn albums, he would really get on me, you know, make me do it 2-3 times before I even lay the basic vocal down, which that's a little harsh to me. I just, you know, run through it,
get it done,
take the first take or two, and then, you know, I like to do a whole song. You know, even if there's a problem, just do the whole song and then come back and fix the problem.
And patch it up,
the whole song over and over again. I remember once I was doing Wolf Witchery in the studio, and he kept calling it Witch Wolfery.
Oh, boy.
Because I guess in Styx they had some song called Wolf, or Witch Wolf, or Wolf Witch, I don't know what it was, but he kept thinking of that, and then he kept going, that Witch Wolfery.
And you're like, buddy.
And then he's like, he had me sing the whole song, and I'm like doing all my highest power screams and everything. And then later he's like, okay, now are we ready to record it? And I'm like, oh yeah, I thought we were. And then we did the second take, and he's like, oh, that's a little better, but I think you can do better than that.
Oh no.
By the time we did like 10 of them, then I finally sang it, and he's like, oh, that was awesome. I thought I was about to kill my vocals by then, but...
Or him.
That's another thing that's something I never talked about that I wanted to mention, that I have a lot of respect for a lot of singers out on the road, and a lot of people on YouTube do a lot of criticizing of bands, you know, for their live videos, like, especially like people criticize, you know, Paul Stanley from Kiss and stuff when they see some of these live raw live concert videos. But when you're out on the road and you're singing day after day, it is rough on your voice.
Oh, I can imagine.
And, you know, even just doing 3 or 4 nights in a row, you have to really be cool with your voice, you know, because, you know, when you're out there and you get done with the concert and then people want to sit there and they want to, you know, hey, let's have some drinks and sit up and talk all night. Man, you'll wake up the next day. I remember when we went to Germany, we were out there and we did a couple day concerts in a row, and you know, the people didn't ever want to go to sleep. They just want to talk and like ask you questions. And I was young at that point. I was not thinking. I was just, you know, I was just sitting up all night. I think we partied the whole time we were there. The last day we were there, they wanted to do this add-on show, and I ended up having to turn it down because it was a show that we weren't supposed to do, but they wanted to put us on, and everybody in the group wanted to do it. And I woke up and I couldn't even talk. I was just like, because I've been screaming for several days.
Oh, Jesus.
That's one of your biggest fears as a singer.
Yep, you know? Losing your voice. All right.
I was reading on the Iron Maiden, that one book that they put out years ago. It was like their life story book. And it was like there's a part in there, it was called Infinite Dreams from Iron Maiden. I'm a huge collector of biography books like I Am Ozzy and, you know, Gene and the Paul and, you know, all the different life story books, especially Paul's one was fantastic. But in the Iron Maiden book, Infinite Dreams, they were talking about, Bruce Dickinson was talking about in the middle of the Power Slave tour, that every day that they had off, somebody would give them an extra date, you know, that would fill in, and everybody wanted to keep making that money, so their managers would take the show. Right. So he was playing 7 days a week, singing Aces High and all that every night. he said he was ready to just quit. He couldn't even take it. He thought he was losing his mind, like he couldn't even talk in the morning. And
wow.
they'd be like, there's only 300 more days till the end of the tour, mate. And all that.
Exactly. That's funny. All right, well, we're going to check out your last track here. Here's Eyes of Lucifer.
Oh, thanks a lot.
what's up? Thanks for tuning in. That was just Eyes of Lucifer. Awesome, awesome track. Thank you, Count William.
Well, greetings. Thanks to everyone for joining us. It's been a wonderful time on your show.
You want to let everyone know where they can find you and purchase your merchandise, and if they want to book you for a show, you know, where all your contacts are?
Yeah, you could look me up at my site on Facebook, Count William it's just William Anders Jannusch. Or else you could go to witchcross.com. That's our official Witchcross site. There's two Ravensthorn sites on Facebook. There's just Ravensthorn, and there's Ravensthorn in parentheses heavy metal band. And then there's also Witchcross in parentheses U.S. Doom metal band on Facebook. And you could also email me at billbloodwin@yahoo.com.
Awesome.
Now, like I said, we're just basically in both bands, we're writing all new material and just trying to keep everything going and planning on more Witchcross shows. Ravensthorn won't be playing out live for a few months until we get all tightened up, and we're mostly just writing all our new stuff now so we can come straight into going into for a new album next early in the springtime of 2016. We're going to be doing studio time probably with Witchcross and Ravensthorn. It's going to be hard to afford, but
you'll get there, right?
Do what we can. And
yep. And I know everyone needs to check out the previous versions of Ravensthorn and Witchcross, and, you know, get out there and buy them and listen to them, crank them up. They're awesome bands. On eBay, I was going to say, you can go to the Bill Bloodwin. You just look up, you know, search for sellers, and you just go to Bill Bloodwin at Yahoo. You go to Count Bloodwin on eBay, rather. Awesome.
It's just COUNTBLOODWYN. That's the seller on eBay. And then you could find Ravensthorn or Witchcross CDs on there. Or you could order just straight Witchcross right from witchcross.com. There's a place to order on there, too.
Awesome.
Or else the easiest thing to do is just to go to the William Jannusch on Facebook sometimes if you're looking for the link. Mm-hmm. And there's also a lot of sellers out there, too, if you just want the easiest method. You know, you could also just go to, you know, search on your Yahoo or whatever you want to do, and, you know, just look up Witchcross Crypt of the Undead. I notice there's a lot of sellers out there.
Awesome, and you can also...
I'd rather have you get it from me, but you can get it from other people, too. Mm-hmm. I don't care, as long as you get the damn thing.
And also, too, if you'd like to sign both bands up on the NDR website, you can upload your tracks for everyone to get there, too, as well.
Awesome.
All right, and, you know, we want to have you come back again anytime. You know, you have an update, great. Let us know, and all hails.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us. This is Count William from Witchcross and Ravensthorn, and I'm glad you tuned in. Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Metal Devastation. William of Ravensthorn and Witchcross. You're listening to the Thunderhead Show on MetalDevastationRadio.com, where metal reigns supreme.
dead. Still walk the leashes of the damned. Incantation.